I mean, democracy is expensive. There's no other way around it. And unfortunately or fortunately, when you're looking at politics, you don't look at the returns. You know, this is not an investment.
All right.
You know, it's something you have to do. You know, which is why no matter how much it is, you don't have to really regale much about how it's going to impact or pinch the national budget. That's the nature of democracy. It's expensive, and you just have to foot the cost.
But throwing out 5 to 6 billion Rwandan francs in just campaigns and elections, how much effect does it have on the Rwandan franc, having so much money into circulation?
I think it's controlled. It's controlled, and to be honest, if you look at it in the bigger context, how much is the economy worth, and you also have to look at what the central bank is doing. You know, I think it's pretty much calculated. It's pretty much within the long-term plan, and I think it was well captured when the central bank was setting its own predictions on the inflationary movements as they expected them. All these aspects are also considered, knowing that in this at this point in time we're going to be releasing so much money, you know, in the market. So all those aspects are actually calculated. We may not know, but the central bank does a good job at predicting all these aspects. And I don't see it having a major impact on prices or whatsoever. And personally, I haven't felt the money yet. So you have to also ask, where is this money being spent within the economy? It's within aspects of the economy that are also manageable, like transport, fuel, because this is movement, you know, printing campaign material, and all the things. For example, printing. Most of the printing sometimes is done outside, meaning that most of the money is actually not being spent locally. If we are printing T-shirts and we are sending high quality from South Africa,
you know, the likes of Thailand or China,
so that will tell you that locally you won't have much of an impact, you know, of inflation on prices, because how much of the campaign material is actually being sourced locally.
How are the youth represented at the current conversations regarding the parliamentary race?
I pretty much like it, because at least personally I have a friend who is really, really young, and she's in the tough. She's competing.
Oh, it's a she?
Yes, she's, I think, just 23, and she wants to be one of the representatives for the youth constituency, which I think is a good thing. If you remember, one of the statements that were pushed during the presidential election was that, you know, we're trying to create space for young people to actually come up. They were actually directly encouraged to come and participate in, you know, in elective politics. And I see that happening, especially given that the beauty is that all the people who entered parliament in 2013 are actually moving out, and we're having a new crop of candidates coming in. You know, the fact that we can have that turnover, it means that it creates opportunity for actually young people to actually come in. And you know what? You can't run away from it, because you have to look at the national demographic, you know, landscape. It's a population dominated by young people.
All right.
So it can only be expected that even in the candidates, even the oldest will not be even probably more than 40 or 50. So the whole setup favors the young people because of the demographics. And we're doing so well that, I mean, look at the parliamentary landscape in the US, for example, where people hold positions for nearly 10 years, 20 years. Rest in peace, John McCain. You know, he's been in parliament until he died just a couple of days ago. But for us, we have a system that seems to be tailored to turnovers after a certain period in time. And for me, this turnover is very good, and it favors young people. It brings them an opportunity to actually come in and play on equal basis with their, you know, older generation counterparts, which is a very good thing.
Finally, one of the contestants, of course I'm not going to name names because I'm not doing a campaign for either of them, says that one of their biggest mandate is to remove taxes and starting with the land taxes. Now, let's just look back at what the current government or the sitting members of parliament have actually worked around when it comes to taxes. We do know that just of last year, over 10 billion Rwandan francs were targeted to be as revenues from taxes. And 3 weeks before the year ended, the government was still looking forward to getting a 7.7 billion Rwandan francs from land taxes. Now, this is also churned back into the economy. If one of the members of parliament or the aspiring members of parliament is looking to scratch this out of the taxes, how much is it likely to have an effect on the economy?
I mean, I'm glad you could pick up on such statements coming out from the campaign. But like I said, unnaturally or historically, there is always a very big distance between campaign rhetoric and what actually happens
after the campaign.
After the campaign or after these guys win the election and actually get into parliament. They also realize that there is a difference between talking and how actually a statement is translated into an action in parliament. There's a whole process. And given that most of these people, it's going to be their first time in parliament, there's that time where they actually first need to educate themselves on the process of legislating.
Or maybe not only being the first time in parliament, but how much voice do they have in the parliament? Because you're looking at the likes of RPF having a very good number, or any other party. So
which is why I'm saying that there's a whole lot of stuff to discover on a number of these candidates if they're lucky to actually get selected.